Hello, replay viewers. Remember, you can tap the screen for hearts or swipe left to right or up maybe to share. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. Oh, let's see if I can remember how to turn this thing around again. I always forget. There we go. Hey, Elizabeth, Pam, Lisa, Amanda. Awesome. Katie, good to see you, everybody. Scoping 2 days in a row. Hello, I'm doing awesome. I can't believe I was able to scope 2 days in a row. I know, scoping at night, right? I thought I would actually try to see if this was a better time. My husband came home and let me sneak away. So I'm not a pumpkin yet, no Pam. It's only 6:12 p.m. here on the Pacific time. So hello, Rachel. Ooh, from Hawaii, awesome. Yeah, so I thought we would try this time of day. A lot of homeschool scopers scope in the middle of the day, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just try and see if evenings are better, or if maybe... Actually, why don't you tell me that in the comments? Let me know what you think. What's the best time for you to watch a scope? In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Pam is a pumpkin, she says. Yes. I'm sure you are. It's late there. Oh, good. Julie's here. I'm so glad. Hey, Mackenzie. Good to see you. Okay, lots of you are responding. That's awesome. Good. Yeah, keep telling me that because that's really helpful and I'll be able to kind of figure out when to scope. Okay, so a couple things before we start. My name is Sarah Mackenzie. If you don't know me, I am the author of Teaching from Rest, A Homeschooler's Guide to Unshakable Peace. I am also the host of the Read-Aloud Revival podcast. Pretty new here to Periscope, but I'm trying it out, and I'm doing a series on how we homeschool. So I did the first 2 Periscopes. I did an overview of how we homeschool with our kids. We have 6 kids from 8th grade all the way down to 2-year-old twins. And so the first one was just kind of a big picture how we homeschool and a look at the tools that I use for planning and keeping everything on track. And the second one was on, okay, so I homeschool in 3 big time chunks: morning time, and then something I call morning rotation, and then spiral notebooks. So the scope I did yesterday was on morning time. Today it is on those morning rotations, and then next time I'll do it on spiral notebooks. So the exciting thing is we wanted to collect these all so everybody could see them, even if you didn't catch them in replay, since everything like disappears off Periscope so fast. So we're making a Periscope channel on my site, and it's not built yet. It should be up by tomorrow. You'll be able to go to amongstlovelythings.com/scope. And someone's asking if I'm on Catch. Yeah, lots of you are. Yes, I am on Catch. I am there, so you should be able to see my replays. Some people are saying they can't find me on Catch, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But we're going to actually collect all of those Catch replays and put them on a channel on my site. So amongstlovelythings.com/scope. And the great thing about that is we are adding links to everything I've been talking about. Because, for example, yesterday's show, I showed you all the things we're using for morning time, and there were so many things. It's crazy. There were so many things that I've ended up pulling off my shelves, and I even wanted to show you guys more. And so we're collecting all those links because I know how stressful it is to be watching somebody and think, oh my gosh, I need to write that down, and you're in the middle of folding laundry or pulling a twin off the top of the refrigerator or something. Not that I know what that's like. And so, yeah, we are going to add links to everything that we talk about. So that might be the best place anyway to go watch the replays. Again, that's going to be amongstlovelythings/scope. And yeah, if you're looking for me on Catch Me, I'm actually not Sarah Mackenzie. I'm at AM Lovely Things, like Amongst Lovely Things. So that might be why you're having a hard time to find it. Okay. Oh yes, you're going to go read aloud for bed. Totally go read aloud for bedtime. You can catch this anytime. So I'm so glad you're all here. Okay, so here is the deal. Tonight I'm going to show you what we do for our morning rotations, which is the time of day where I work with each of my big kids one-on-one, and how we finagle that with all of the toddlers we have. So we have a 13, 11, and a 10-year-old, and then we have a 3-year-old and 2 toddler twins. 2 toddler, wow. Maybe it's too late for me to scope. Toddler twin 2-year-olds. I can't even say it. It's like a tongue twister. And so it's kind of tricky because before I used to be able to say, hey, one of you go play with the toddler and we're going to be doing school. And oh my gosh, Heidi, that's so fun. Someone's doing a book club right now with my book. Well, hello, book club groupies. Nice see you. How fun is that? So yeah, I used to be able to say, hey, one of you go play with the toddler and I will work with the other couple kids. But that just totally did not work once we have the twins and we have 3 toddlers and 3 big kids. I suppose I could put a toddler with each big kid and like go out for coffee, but it doesn't really work for homeschooling, for teaching. So I'll show you how we kind of were hacking that. Before we do that though, I forgot to show you this yesterday. I really wanted to. I have a brand new free something for you. I have this tendency to have these overwhelming homeschooling days and feel completely like I'm not cut out for this, I'm failing, this is terrible. And on those days, I find myself really wanting to ask some of my favorite homeschooling mentors what their best advice is, what their absolute, like, if they could give me one golden nugget for that kind of a moment, what they tell me. And so what I did is I thought, okay, we've all got to be feeling this way. So I just asked them and they told me. And so I collected them all into this PDF. Called it Hope for the Overwhelmed Homeschooler. I asked each of these guys, let me hold it up close so you can see who's in here. Susan Weiss Bauer, Andrew Kern, Andrew Pudewa, Rhea Berg, Lila Lawler, Cindy Rollins, Janice Campbell, Julie Bogarts, and Sonia Schaefer. I asked them all what their tip would be, and I collected it into this free PDF, and you can grab this for free. It's at amongstlovelythings.com. If you just head right to the main page there, you should be able to see where you can grab it and download it. I have mine in the front of my binder so I can remember that I'm not actually going crazy and I don't need to quit even when I feel like I need to. So I wanted to make sure I told you about that. Okay, let's talk about morning rotations. So what I need to do is I need to work with each of my kids, my 8th grader, my 6th, and my 5th grader, one-on-one every day, even if it's just for a short period of time. So I try to work with them for about 30 to 40 minutes each. That works really, really well as long as I can keep the toddlers busy. And so what we've started to do is after morning time, and this is usually right around 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning, I will start working with my oldest because the toddlers are still the nicest now, so the younger ones can handle them pretty well. Clara's my 3-year-old, and she is pretty easy almost always, and so I can pass her off to the 10-year-old and the twins with the 12-year-old, and they're the ones that are a little trickier, and say for 20 or 30 minutes they're around. They're not like, you know, shut away in a room or something. They can go in the backyard, they can jump on the trampoline with them, they can do an art project, pretty much anything except for watching TV. That's kind of the idea. And they just have to keep them busy while my oldest is working with me. And so my oldest is an 8th grader, and what I do is I do my 30 minutes with her. Whatever particular subject we've decided is the most important for her to have one-on-one with me for. Oh, awesome. Pam's dropping a link to the early years post in the chat there. That is a post I wrote about what I do with my youngest kids. So the person who asked about that a few minutes ago, what do you do with your little ones? Check that post out. Thanks, Pam. I appreciate that. So then what happens is after that 20 or 30 minutes, my oldest daughter, she goes and relieves one of the kids, and we all just rotate. The one who's with the twins goes with the 3-year-old. The one who's with the 3-year-old comes with me. We rotate like that. And we do that for an hour and a half to 2 hours until everybody's gotten about 30 minutes with me. And that's really helpful because I really need that one-on-one time with them to work through whatever subject they need me for. Now, I learned the whole pick one subject to work with your kids on from Laura Berquist, who's the creator of Mother of Divine Grace curriculum, which we don't actually use, but I love her. And she wrote a book called Designing Your Own Classical Curriculum, which I love, and I always reference it when I'm kind of stuck for what we should be doing when. That's Designing Your Own Classical Curriculum by Laura Berquist. So in one of her, I don't know if it was a talk I listened to or an article I'd read, she had said that every year, because she had 6 kids, every year she would choose one subject to work on, 1 or 2, but definitely not more than that, subject to work on with each child, whatever they needed her most for. And so I've started to do that myself. It's kind of tricky to pick that one thing, but we've made it work. So one year it was math, and we actually were able to make a lot of progress on math that year and really move forward with our math because we made it such a, you know, mom sitting next to you the whole time. Another year was We started to do grammar. That was last year. Honestly, last year the twins were 1 and Claire was 2, and they did not get a lot of one-on-one time with me, and it was fine, and everybody did fine. So there you go. This year it's language arts. The kids are doing math with a math tutor. Cue the Hallelujah chorus. And we're doing a lot of our other subjects that are co-ops, and so language arts is what I really wanted to hit with each of my kids. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing with each of them. My 8th grader, true confessions, has had an abysmal grammar education so far. Now, like, she's a wonderful writer and she's an avid reader, but her grammar knowledge is not awesome. So I'm not a huge believer in like drilling grammar for year after year after year. At least a lot of my mentors, like the Julie Bogart, who's here, I was going to say the one and only, Andrew Pudawan, they say it's not necessary to just drill it year after year, just to get, you know, try and get it as a power punch at some point. And so what we're using is Easy Grammar Ultimate Series. These are by the people who make Easy Grammar, but this is like the short and sweet, and when you are, you just want 10 minutes a day, but they haven't really had hardly any grammar. So the Easy Grammar people make 2 things. They make Easy Grammar, which is this huge, thick curriculum that takes 100 years to get through, or they make these daily grams, which I'm using with one of my other daughters, and I'll show you that in just a second. But once they get to 8th grade, they make these. These are actually like the daily grams. They're only 10 minutes each, and they're 1 page each, and they take about 10 minutes. So this is a whole day right here, and it takes her about 10 minutes to do it. And the great thing about this is that it teaches them. So it's not just like review like the daily grams are. It's actually a teaching book, so it teaches them the rules as we go through. But honestly, 10 minutes a day, I can do that. We can do that. So we actually do this together just so I can catch any mistakes or misunderstandings right away. So quick and easy. Then the other thing I'm doing with her is writing. And so we are using the Creative Writer, and this was recommended by Susan Weiss Bauer at Peace Hill Press. And Audrey really, really wanted to do some fiction and poetry writing, and so this is what we decided to go with for this year. Mostly because she can do it for the most part by herself, and then when we meet for our one-on-one time, we kind of just review what she's done, and I give her tips, and we laugh over the funny things in her stories and things like that. We're also using Lost Tools of Writing, which I don't have with me because I lent it out to a friend. She wanted to check it out and see if it was a good fit for her daughter. That's essay writing, put out by Cersei Institute and Andrew Kern, and so it's utterly fabulous. We have not started it yet, but I want to take it. When I was like reviewing it, getting ready for our writing this year, I thought, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And so really excited to use that. So what we're doing is we won't be able to get through Lost Tools of Writing and the Creative Writer all this year, but I'm cool with that. So we're just going to flip-flop between the 2 and see how far we get, and we'll be better than we were when we started. So it'll be good. Okay, someone said Lost Tools of Writing is challenging. Good to know. Yeah, if it's too challenging for her, we'll just back off and do lots of creative writing this year and try again next year. So, awesome. Okay, so that's what I'm doing with my 8th grader. And pretty much that takes about 30 minutes. If she has questions, we have 2 co-ops we're in, and so they have a lot of homework for that. So if she has questions about her homework, if she's stuck with something, that's the time they're supposed to bring it to me. I mean, they can totally come bring it to me at any time, but if they want one-on-one focus, I'll say, wait till our one-on-one time tomorrow. And it'll be easier for me to focus on it with you if we wait until that time. So then they'll come and bring it to me. Hey, I'm having a really hard time with this science thing or whatever. Okay, so I see people in the comments talk about other writing programs. Some other favorites of ours are Brave Writer, which I think is amazing. And I also am a big fan of IEW. Someone, I think, just said it's easier to teach than Lost Tools, and I have no doubt that that's probably true. So we're big fans of IEW too. So I think for writing curriculum, there's so many awesome programs, and I'm not really willing to like hook myself up completely to one because there's so many good ones. So I've just kind of played off my kids to see what they're liking. Wow, can you guys hear that in the background? My twins sound like a nuclear detonation downstairs. Okay, my husband's got it, I'm sure. Okay, so my 6th grader then works with me on language arts, and we are using writing and rhetoric from Classical Academic Press, and I think honestly this might be one of the best new curriculums on the market. It just came out, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but It is based on the classical Progymnasmata. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. So let me see if I can show you the little, I don't know if you'll be able to see the little pyramid in the back. It's so dark in here, I bet you can't read that. But basically it's based on the classical progym, and it is creative, kind of a creative take on it. And so it takes them through the steps of classical rhetoric, and it's really fun. She adores it. What I really like about it is it's, there's great illustrations. Here, I'll show you. It's, you just want to work in it because the pages and the work pages are so much fun, and she loves it. We've used a lot of different things over the years, and this is the one that she asked to use again this year. Really fun. The other thing I really like about this writing program is that it's super easy to just start and stop wherever you're at. And so, yeah, I can show you however again. Here you go. We're using book 4, which is Crea and Proverb. There will actually be 12 books in the series. I think they just released the 6th. They're releasing a couple new each year. I oftentimes am working in the Classical Academic Press booth at the Great Homeschool Conventions, and this is, I think, probably one of the hottest things at the booth. Everybody who comes over who's used it before loves it and wants to get their hands on the next one, so it's pretty great. But what I love about it is that you don't necessarily need to get through a whole lesson. I don't actually even worry about that at all. All we do is I stick a post or a stickum thing wherever we left off, and I'll say, okay, we worked like 15 or 20 minutes. So I might look at the time and go, okay, 20 minutes. We'll work for 20 minutes, and wherever we leave off, I'll just stick the post-it and we'll start the next day. It's complete. Like, all you need is this. There's a teacher book and a student book, and that's all you need. And it's just so easy to open and go and pick up where you left off. So you don't have this sort of nagging feeling of getting behind or doing like partial lessons. Okay, what the grade level is. They recommend book 1 for grades 3 and 4. Although I know at the booth we've had moms come in and say they've used it successfully with their second graders. I would not be able to use it with my second graders. All the way, and when it's complete, when it goes through book 12, it will be through grade 9. So, okay. So we do writing and rhetoric. We also do spelling, and last year we used All About Spelling. I love All About Spelling, but it is a bit teacher intensive, especially when they're past those first stages where they really need all that intense phonics. And so we moved to Spelling Wisdom. I'm laughing because I think every time I get on Periscope, I am like, you should go to simplycharlottemason.com. Apparently we use a lot of stuff from there. So this is from simplycharlottemason.com. And it's basically, they get a, yeah, I'll show you. This is the second exercise. She just finished this one. It's a great quote or a passage, and it has a lot of commonly used words in there. You just study the words together. She writes them out, and I sit next to her and say, are there any of these words that you think you'll have trouble spelling? And she says no, because she always says that. Even though it's not necessarily true. And then I tell her to write it every single day. And she writes it every single day, and then at the end of the week, I dictate it to her out loud, and she's supposed to write it from memory, and we see if she can spell them all. It's awesome. It's completely painless and really fun. They'll get, as the book goes on, they get longer and longer. And the words, of course, get more complicated. But they're all really wonderful, like, beautiful pieces of beautiful language. From Hans Christian Andersen, Aesop, Helen Keller, Abraham Lincoln, Charles Dickens. So it's not just like dumb sentences created to help your child spell. So it kind of feels like you're doing that whole nourishing with truth, goodness, and beauty while you're doing spelling, which is awesome. So we do that. I think that's all we do. Oh no, she also does dailygrams. We're just starting with this. So she's doing the same from the same company that Audrey's doing grammar from. The only difference, same thing, 1 page, 10 minutes. The only difference is it doesn't teach the concept. So I have to sit next to her and teach it to her. Of course, at this level, which is grade 6, it's all very basic. I don't have all that awesome of a grammar education. I'm sure that sentence demonstrated that. And so, but I can teach this, no problem. So it's super easy, quick, painless. Okay. So for my 10-year-old son, we are using Writing with Ease by Susan Weisbauer. I was going to put him into Writing and Rhetoric. I was going to put him in Writing and Rhetoric just like Allison, but he wasn't quite there yet. I really felt like he could use a lot more copy work and dictation and just let's copy down what a sentence looks like. again, and where the capitals go, where the punctuation goes. And so that's what we're using Writing with Ease. We'll probably use it through this book too, and then we'll move over to Writing and Rhetoric because I find that one a little bit more fun, I guess, delightful. And then we're using All About Spelling. And he's my later reader, so we just started reading last year. And so we focused totally on reading before we started on spelling. So now we're just getting started with spelling and getting those basics really down strong, which is why I love All About Spelling, because I think it's really strong phonics. So that's what we do. And so each child can work with the other toddlers while the other ones are working with me, and we just rotate until we're done. And by the time we get to lunchtime, then we have hit morning time, and all of them have had one-on-one time with me doing language arts, which feels pretty good. And they're getting better at doing the toddler thing. I know my oldest daughter, she's gotten to this habit of now making green smoothies with the toddlers, which is funny. I'm not a green smoothie person, so I don't know where she learned this, but she makes green smoothies and the twins love it. And so they call it ice cream, actually. So they ask her to make ice cream and then she takes them on a walk. So things like that, she's just kind of getting into a groove and it's working pretty well. But does anybody have any questions for me? Because I'd be happy to answer them. Sometimes I think I miss them when they come up on the screen when I'm in the middle of yammering. So put your questions in the chat box if you have them for me now so I can pay attention. And then don't forget, you can grab Hope for the Overwhelmed Homeschooler at amongstlovelythings.com. And then the show notes to these scopes will be at amongstlovelythings.com/scope. Oh, the link again for what I teach little kids. Hey, Pam, would you mind throwing that back up again? I think it's amongstlovelythings.com/early-years. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Pam. Thank you, Rosalie. I always love compliments on my hair. I appreciate that. Awesome. Okay, this is going to be a record-breaking short scope for me. Do I recommend working with younger kids first? Okay. Yes. I heard a big crash and crying, so I'm distracted. Okay, I'm going to make sure I catch these before they go. It's the most important things. Pam's telling Rosalie that you made my day because of the hair comment. You totally did. There's like, I was going to say if there's one thing I'm vain about, it's my hair, but actually there's probably more than one thing. Okay, so little kids. I think, yes, if you can give them like some one-on-one time before you start working with the older kids, it helps them feel loved on and nurtured before you kind of ask them to go away a little bit. And so I have found that to be helpful. I don't actually work with them, like do any like crafts or anything. If I'm going to sit with my toddlers, the most likely thing I'm going to do is read to them from a picture book. So I do try and get down on the floor and like build with blocks and read a picture book with them before we start. Not too hard because my toddlers get up a lot before the big kids, before I have to drag the big kids out of bed. And so I'm able to have some one-on-one time with the toddlers, or the one-on-three time with the toddlers while we're waiting for the big kids to get up. And so I do think that helps for sure. And also what I found is with the rotations, with the toddler big kid rotations, if any of you have a million children like I do at those funky ages, is that if you give the younger big kids toddler duty first, that's better, because once they get close to lunchtime, they're super fussy. Oh, younger school age kids, do I do those first? I always have until this year. And the only reason I'm not doing it this year is, I don't know if there's a reason. Actually, I'm trying to think. I don't think I did that purposefully, where I work with my oldest daughter first. I guess, no, I did. I guess the reason I work with my oldest daughter first is because I wanted her to have the twins right before lunch, because they're getting fussy and she's best with them. So, how do you choose the right curriculum? So much reading and research. Oh my goodness, I wasted so much time doing way too much reading and research. Actually, I even wrote a post on that. Pam, do you want to throw that in the comments too? It's, I don't know it off the top of my head. We'll see if Pam can drum it up. So, first of all, I think if you are new to homeschooling, or if you have a lot of little kids, like Pam said in the comments there, open and go, baby. Like, find something that requires very little of you for prep, because you are not a school teacher in a classroom. You are a homeschooling mother, and you have a million things to do at home. And you have got to realize that you can't be spending oodles and oodles of time researching and teaching. So one of my biggest regrets with homeschooling is that I spent a lot of that time researching and researching and researching in my early years and instead of teaching. Like I would over research and under engage with my kids. When really I think if I had just looked at my children and spent time with my children and kind of used common sense like in my interactions with them or simplified things, we would have gotten off to a much better start. But instead I was so determined to do everything just perfectly. And so I over-researched, and there it is. There's the link for you. My biggest homeschooling mistake, and she's got the link there for you. And that's where I wrote about that mistake I think I made. And so I would say find, a couple of people online who you think you can ask for recommendations from, and then just pick something and just go with it. And then just take, Pam, you're cracking me up. And then just take your, what was I saying? I totally lost my, Pam, you're throwing me off my game. Pick something and then just go with it and watch your kids to see how they react, and then trust your gut because you know your children better than anybody else does. And so if it's working, but you hear somebody else say, oh my goodness, my curriculum is so much better because XYZ, forget about it. If what you're using is working, then keep using it, because I think that is where I got really hung up in the first few years. I kept, switching every time I heard about some new great math curriculum or grammar curriculum, and it can be really stressful. So it does not need to be that complicated. It can be really, really simple. So, okay, I need to get off my soapbox. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad. Thank you. Yep, Pam says, say it again, don't reinvent the wheel, open and go. Pam and I have been friends for a long time, and we did a lot of trying to reinvent the wheel at the beginning. Didn't we, Pam? It was kind of stressful. So, there is a lot of really awesome homeschooling curriculum on the market, which can be a blessing. It is a tremendous blessing, and it also can be really, really hard for us to just realize that pretty much any curriculum is probably going to do fine. Like, I really think that. I really think almost any curriculum you use is going to be great as long as you're attentive and you're pleasant and you're smiling at your kids. I think a cheerful, content mom who's not frantic about the curriculum that she's choosing is probably the greatest blessing for a homeschool and is going to make a much better difference. Yes, exactly, and consistent. Be a consistent, cheerful homeschool mom. And I think it doesn't really matter if you use this curriculum or that curriculum, you'll be okay. So, okay, well, thanks so much for coming. And next time, I'm going to show you those spiral notebooks. I know that's the one that several of you have been asking me to do. So I promise next time I will show you how I make my spiral notebooks, how I get those things hammered out really as quick as possible, and so that they don't take a ton of time. And don't forget, amongstlovelythings.com/scope, and that is where you're going to be able to find all of it and all the show notes. All right, have a great night, guys. Thanks so much for coming.